Yo.
Let's fight.
All right, let's do it, bro.
Let's fucking fight. Let's fight it out.
Fight this shit out. Hold on.
You're upstream. Just like I have, obviously, I say a lot of things a lot of times, yeah, and people, it's very easy for people to take out of context what I say. So I'd like to like preface any discussion we have here with the opinion that anything I say here, if like it's so easy to take one thing out of context. Like where I said on stream the other day that I don't believe scripting, handicap, and momentum exists, and then I went into a 20-minute discussion as to why. And then on Reddit, there's a clip of me saying scripting, handicap, and momentum doesn't exist, and nothing else. So, what I think, in my opinion, and I think you're of much a similar opinion, like the only differ you seem to have is when gameplay is good or gameplay is bad, right?
Yeah.
And that still doesn't constitute to scripting, handicap, or momentum. It just constitutes to good gameplay and bad gameplay.
Yeah. Yeah, that has absolutely no relationship to the handicap bullshit or the momentum bullshit that people think exists in this game.
Right, and then when people think, oh, I feel like I was playing in mud that game, and we was, if I'm playing against you, and we connect to a server that's closer to you, I'm going to have a significantly worse experience because of not button delay. What's it called? It's called input lag or whatever.
Input lag, yeah.
I can't remember. The stream will correct me what the actual term is. And there was a thread on Reddit about it, where like if you have a 50 millisecond ping to the server and I have a 100 millisecond ping to the server, the game knows that, so it makes adjustments to make sure we see the same thing at the same time. Which is why when you press pass, it may well take a half a second or a quarter of a second or that split second that you feel longer to actually make the pass compared to when you're playing against someone who's the exact same ping away from you. Lag compensation, that's what it's called. Like literally, I believe for you personally, when you experience bad gameplay, I believe that's lag compensation. And what that is you connecting to someone who's on a server closer to them so they don't experience lag compensation.
Okay, but I also use a router, right? You know that NetDuma router I used to talk to you about ages ago? Okay, I've even experimented with that, Nep, where I make it so that I literally match up with a person who's either in my city or anywhere around the vicinity of the circle, right? And the same thing still happens, right?
Okay, but your ping to the server, and again, this is just me theorizing at this point. I don't know any facts here. Your ping to the server and his ping to the server could be the same from the same city, but the server itself could still be having issues like controlling the information and how it sends it back, right? There's no guarantee just because you both ping to it quickly that you've actually got a good time. Like there have been games where I played in League of Legends and it tells you your ping, where I've got like an 8 millisecond ping and I'm still feeling delay, which means there's a problem with the server. So there could still be instances where you're actually just like EA are just having server trouble. Maybe it's overloaded, or even in dedicated servers, they can still get overloaded. A dedicated server, which I think a lot of people don't understand, doesn't mean that it's 100% effective 100% of the time. It just means that it's dedicated for you to join to. Like, so I don't know, like, and I think, like, as I say, with terms of like people believing in scripting, handicap, and momentum, outside of bad gameplay, outside of times where you can notably feel a difference in your input and output, your actions and the reactions of those actions, outside of that, there is always a reason as to why you scored or didn't score, or why you conceded or didn't concede.
Right.
Would you agree? Would you agree that there is that you could have done something different at some point in the game?
But that depends on the gameplay, though. That will always depend on the gameplay. This is one thing I will always stand by, Net, because there's so many. When you ever played in a gameplay where everything feels amazing, you realize what you're missing out on. One of the biggest things that I always tell my stream every single time I'm playing, right? Whether it's a draft, whether it's seasons, whatever. The finishing 1v1, there's the smallest bit of details. Nep, it goes as far down to the left stick dribbling. Just using your left stick to dribble. When you're in the box, you know how shooting it across the goal, low driven shots is the best way to score, right?
Yeah.
If my player doesn't want to take that extra needed touch, and I know that he's supposed to because I've played in gameplay before where they actually do it, that's annoying. Because there was instances yesterday where my streamer probably remember this. There was instances yesterday where my player always angled himself at a diagonal angle instead of a 90-degree angle, making that an extra necessary touch for me to make the proper finish. If my player doesn't do that, when I know that I've put in gameplay before where they actually make that touch, that's not my fault. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. But and that's why I say I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree. There are times where like contextual changes happen on a whim, and you can't control that. I completely agree with that. But I still don't believe that that's EA interfering. I think that's just bad game mechanics. I think that's just bad coding. I literally just think that's inconsistencies in things happening in the game based on potential ping, potential server issues, and just like time of day. Because I remember you used to stream at a certain time of day because you found the gameplay to be better.
Yeah.
So I get like, because like I was reading some stuff from FIFA 12, and it was to do with career mode, but it was really important to do with the like how contextual touches are taken, and you know how stamina affects agility, and the difference in agility. I mean, whether or not they make acrobatic clearances or acrobatic shots, it will determine how they take and use contextual touches. And then there was a thread on Reddit about how a guy missed like an absolute like 4 sitters in a row, and here's Olivier Giroud took a touch that he didn't want to take, and I can see he didn't want to take it. I know he just wanted to shoot the ball in the back of the net, but the game forced him to take the touch. Would you not agree that although that's not what's supposed to happen, because you have the knowledge that it happens and you can feel when it does and doesn't happen, that you then should have the foresight to make the adaptations in game to better yourself, and thus it's still nothing to do with scripting or handicap?
It's not the scripting or handicap part, Neb. It's the unpredicted movement that you realize that it's not what it's not supposed to be like. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's like, okay, for instance, so it's like for this, Neb, like, okay, so I play during the daytime. Gameplay is never good for me at the daytime. Never. That's why every single time I play FUT Champs, I always stress out because I'm not playing at the potential that I want to be able to play at, right? It's unpredicted movement that I don't like, and I really, really, really dislike it, because when you play in gameplay where every movement makes sense, when you make a driven pass, they control the ball in a certain way. If you're only holding L trigger, they'll control the ball in the direction they're looking at if you're not holding the left stick. Like, Nep, I cannot stand when I make a pass and I'm holding L trigger and my player dribbles the ball upwards when I never look upwards. Like, it's that you can call that input delay, but then we didn't have input delay last year, but the same shit would happen last year and the same shit happened the year before that. There's literally a huge problem in this game that, for me personally, no one ever makes a movement for, because it's really, really frustrating to play in a gameplay, right, where it's like, holy shit, everything right now makes sense. My players are taking those extra, just like I was saying earlier, Nep, just using your left stick, just going left, right, up, down, just using your left stick, your players will take those really, really sharp touches, right? Once you realize what's actually skill-based and what allows you to play properly, everything else becomes completely unacceptable. Like the gameplay that I'm playing in right now during the daytime, this is unacceptable. This is not a game that you should sell out to your consumers of the who play your FIFA game and think that this is a skill-based aspect. You know what I'm saying?
And that's where the biggest problem lies, and that's where the lack of any talk from EA comes. And that's what, I don't know if he was in the stream a few days ago where I was talking with like all the guys about this, and Marius Herbst came in and he said, in not in the exact same words, but I'm reading between the lines a little bit here, and basically because we are a very small part of the user base that plays the game, they then, like, for them to initially come out and say, hey, we've got a big problem, would hurt their company, because like they're saying to their consumers there is something wrong with this game, which would just instantly turn people off. So it's better, like, as a business aspect, for them to either just ignore the problem or address the problem behind closed doors until they've got a fix, and then come out and say, we're dropping a patch and it's going to fix the problem. And I think that's the biggest problem for us as hardcore gamers, especially hardcore FUT enthusiasts, because we get no information and no feedback. But the thing that you experience and the thing that I experience, and I don't even experience it to the level that you can feel it, because you're just that much of a better player than me. You have like the hand-eye coordination that I don't have. You have the reactions that I don't have. You can just feel those things a little bit better than I can, and a little bit quicker. And I feel them quick. So then your average gamer, they don't realize that a contextual touch is taken here, or a heavy touch is taken there, or a sharp touch is taken there. They just think the game is out to get them. And that's the biggest problem, because people are promoting a false narrative as to what they think handicap and scripting is. So EA is saying there's no handicap and scripting, and in turn, we're not actually resolving the problem that there is a huge gameplay issue.
because EA will be under the assumption that they're not trying to fix handicap or momentum bullshit, because that's what the community thinks is the real problem with the game.
Exactly.
I agree.
Exactly.
No, that I agree with. That's why it really bothers me when people are like, "Oh, you know, I'll go into a game and then I'll be complaining like the first 5 seconds of the game. I'll be like, this doesn't feel right," and it's just like, "Oh, because you have handicap or momentum." Like, that's the problem that I hate. The thing that I hate the most is when people say that shit, because it's like that's not the real problem with the game. You know what I'm saying? So it's like,
yeah.
Nep, I need to talk to you in private about a lot of different stuff, because I obviously like can't say it on stream or whatever. I'll talk to you off stream about these kind of things. But let's just say there was specific moments when I went there that were questionable, right? I'll tell you one thing.
Sure.
I'll tell you one thing. Stream, give me 1 second. I know you guys want to be able to hear this, but just give me 1 second. We're back, stream. Back.
Bottom line is, I said, fuck that guy. I don't like him.
Yeah, fuck that guy, dude.
But what like the point that I tried, like the narrative that I tried to get across to like social media and to streams and to viewers and stuff is like, regardless of good gameplay or bad gameplay, there are things that you can do to limit your problems in the game. If you are the best version that you can be in every given game, then you will win most of the games that you are supposed to win just because of skill. Like, people that say that it's not skill based, it is skill based. There are like instances where skill is less relevant factor, but ultimately, if you play a guy 10 times in a row that you're better than, he might sneak a win against you once or twice, but ultimately you will come out on top most of the time. And that's kind of like what I'm trying to push out to people. Like, that time where you had 12 shots inside the box, I know that you fucked up in some of those occasions. I know that the keeper probably made 1 or 2 incredible saves in some of those occasions that maybe shouldn't have been good saves, but that's FIFA and football for you. Like, they can't have it so that every shot goes in every time, otherwise this game would just be boring as fuck, right? So you've got to learn to be even in the bad gameplay, when you know that the gameplay is bad, that's where you've really got to sit there and think, okay, what can I do to limit the amount of problems I'm going to have in this gameplay and still come out on top?
No, for sure. Like, okay, that's the one thing that I agree with you in that aspect. Like, is this game skill based? You still need skill to get the wins that you get, for sure. When people say that it's like, when it's like completely against them, the scripting momentum bullshit, like, that's not really the case. In a way, you are definitely right. But okay, so like, you know, okay, that whole shots referendum, right? That whole shots thing, where people have like 20 shots and 18 on target, and then they lose a game like 1-0, right? Okay. Those pictures, and I'm going to keep bringing it up, Nep, because I like thoroughly believe in it, right? I'm going to keep bringing it up. Those shots really depends on how the gameplay is again, right? Because it depends on the quality of shots that you're taking. For instance, right? If you're playing in good gameplay, where the gameplay feels fine, it does the extra touches that you're doing, but you have 20 shots and 18 on target, that means you were shit at finishing, right? That means that you were 100% not finishing properly. Because if you had 20 shots and 18 on target, it's either because you took long shots, you got super unlucky, and maybe 1 or 2 of those shots where the goalie just pulled off a magnificent save, because that does happen sometimes. But if you had 18 shots on target, and all of those shots are random, but this is only if you're playing a good gameplay. If those shots were random, then you cannot go to Twitter and then complain about the shots that you took and then say, holy shit, this game is against me. Because FIFA is a down-to-the-wire game when it comes to everything, right? Especially the finishing. That's what I was complaining about earlier. Like, if the game does not allow me to take that extra needed touch in order for me to score a goal, that's annoying, right? But let's just say that the person was actually playing good gameplay and they didn't take that touch and they just randomly took the shot because they didn't put themselves at an angle where it makes it so that they had a better chance of scoring. Then yes, I would 100% agree with that. I don't like when people make these statements that, oh, holy shit, I had 20 shots on target. I mean, 20 shots and 18 on target, and this guy still beat me with 1 shot, 1 on target. Like, is it frustrating? Yes, but what were the quality of shots that you were taking? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's exactly what I try to explain. Like, there were times like this weekend league, I had a great chance to finish top 100, and I bottled it because I just can't hold my nerve. There was one game in particular against a dude with a garbage team, and like, you know, all respect to
I saw
him.
the team. You tweeted a picture, no?
Yeah, he was a garbage team and he was a garbage player. I've played over 1,000 games of this iteration of FIFA. I know who is a good player and who is a bad player, right?
Right.
This guy was super bad, and I got in the box several times in chances where usually I'm composed and I'll just bang it low driven near post or far post, or I'll sweat if I need to. And on this occasion, I tried to do a ball roll and then do a finesse shot to the top corner that I'd never done before. Like, and although that was a shot from the 8-yard box that on the shot map looks like a, oh my God, how did you not score that? In the actual game and the way that I played the shot, I know why it didn't go in. So again, when people send me these pictures of like, you know, 12, 15 shots on target and they lose like 3-0 to a dude who had 2 shots, I can't sympathize with it if I don't actually see the gameplay.
Yeah,
because you could have been trying to do bicycle kicks and stuff, like,
you have to take a specific shot. Exactly. Yeah.
And that's again, like what people don't understand is when people play Park the Bus, and I'm at fault to this as much as anyone, I genuinely am. When people play Park the Bus, you've got to almost play them at their own game. And if they want to sit deep, you sit deep and fight them because there's no counter in the attacking sense to 5 at the back or Park the Bus, right? There's just no counter to it. You can't physically get enough bodies up there. So what happens when people go 5 at the back, and why it's so effective, is because people that aren't as skilled as yourself or the pros or the top 100, and I include myself in this, don't have the tools at hand to be able to use a 5 or 6 man attack to beat an 8 or 9 man defense. And what happens is when the opponent counters, they've now got a 3-man attack against your 2-man defense. So it favors them heavily, which is why there's so much of it. Obviously, someone like you're so skilled at the game that you can beat that more often than you don't. Like, you know how to get into the key positions and the key areas to break them down and get those goals. You know all the exploits in the game, whether it be the corner techniques, the free kick techniques, the shooting techniques, the passing triangles. You know it better than anyone. Hence the reason why you could beat it. But when your average gamer in Foot Champs who gets gold 1 typically, or gold 2 typically, or gold 3 typically is saying, oh, this game's against me. It's not the game against you. It's you against you. You are losing to you. It's nothing to do with the scripting or handicap or momentum. It's just how you like adapt and how you translate your skill in game. And if you're letting some guy go Park the Bus and counter you, that like it is EA's fault for not giving you a genuine alternative to be able to break that down. But it's your fault for playing into his hands. And as I say, I say that with me being that guy as well. When I lose to a guy who's on Park the Bus counter and I get angry on Twitter, I'm like, look at this shit. I'm not necessarily angry at him. I'm angry at me and at EA for not allowing me to have an option to be able to beat him.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah, but that leads to another thing, Nep, is the whole Park the Bus and the 5 at the back situation. I will always bring it up. I'm sorry if I keep bringing it up. You know what I'm talking about. That's another thing. If you're playing gameplay that's shit, you cannot exploit someone's Park the Bus or their 5 at the back properly. Because if your players are moving like trucks or they're playing in mud, you cannot try to exploit their defense or get yourself into a position to score a regular shot. Nep, I cannot tell you enough how many times in the last weekend that I played for Foot Champs, managed to get 36 wins. Nep, I'm not even joking when I say this. The way that the gameplay is, man, I wouldn't be surprised if I got 26 wins. Because the way that I won some of those games, because of how bad the game felt, right? There were so many instances, Nep, where I had to score the most random long shot, and like sometimes they wouldn't even be in the most like proper position, because you know how when you take a long shot, everything has to be at a 90-degree angle for you to shoot it across properly, right?
Yeah.
Nep, sometimes they would be at an angle away from the goal and they would still bang in the long shot. I'm just like, and then I have to pray to the EA gods, okay, I'm going to go ultra defensive or Park the Bus right now. Please don't let him score against me, because then it goes to the defensive part, Nep, where you're holding L trigger, you're trying to defend properly, going left and right, and you can't even do that. You have to really, really depend on the defensive AI to defend for you when you cannot defend properly yourself. I can't tell you enough. When you play in bad gameplay and you know someone's going to do a Burba spin and you can't do anything against it because your players feel awful, right? Like you can't move left and right fluidly. And the only reason why you can say that is because when this game shows you that you can defend against that you can move your defenders properly, it really, really pisses you off when you're trying to play a game that you want to be skill-based and then it doesn't let you do the same thing that you know it can let you do. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I do understand that, and I have experienced slow gameplay or what you would consider bad gameplay. You know, I have experienced it, but for me personally, and this may just be like super lucky, or it may just be because of the general times I play. I experience those games like what you would consider bad gameplay, like once or twice in a 40 game weekend. Like I don't get it as often as I feel you and others I see seem to get it, because I hear like Gorilla talk about it all the time. He's like, oh, gameplay is this, gameplay is that. And I'm like, well, damn, I find it to be all right.
That's what I'm saying. Like, because like, okay, let's just say, for instance, I went to your place and then I was playing in your gameplay. Like, I would play your game, and you play on a monitor, right? Like, you play on a gaming monitor and stuff, right? Yeah. Nep, first 5 seconds, I would kick the ball. I would just kick the ball out of the field, and I'd be able to tell you this is good or bad. If your gameplay was decent, Nep, then everything you say is 100% valid. It is. 100%. You're at fault for losing your games. You're not countering someone. Like, everything you say, you are 100% valid on. But it always depends on what people are playing in. Because, like, Nep, for instance, I have one of my subs. His name is Kazi. He plays this game like a lot, Nep, and he tells me his gameplay is never different. You know that Sturridge guy that you faced the other day?
Yeah.
He's a sub on my channel. He says the same thing. He says his gameplay never changes. His gameplay is always the same. It always feels the way it does. You faced him. You played him in that gameplay. It probably, whatever gameplay you guys played in, was probably decent enough for you to say this was a skill-based game. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But like, if you're playing in gameplay, and I'll keep bringing it up because it's like I have it with the deepest passion. If you have gameplay, Nep, and this is the big reason why I don't face people. If you have gameplay that's not acceptable to play in, it's not skill-based. Everything that happens in that game is completely irrelevant. And I'm saying this, that 95% of my record is not a proper record to have, just because of the fact that I do not know, like, could I do better or could I do worse against someone? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, because like, if we're playing in gameplay that's good all the time, that's skill-based. That's where it's like, yeah, I exploited your defense, you exploited mine. Well, like, for me, Nep, it triggers me when I beat someone like 4-0 in bad gameplay. This is how I am. I'm weird like this. It triggers me so much when I beat someone in bad gameplay and they say GG to me, game felt great, when I beat them 4-0, and I'm just like, no, it didn't feel great. It was so bad. How could you say that it felt good, right? And again, that could be, you know, just a person trying to be nice and all that stuff, which is completely understandable. But like, I don't accept someone saying GG to me, Nep, when the game doesn't feel right. When it feels right, then I 100 accept the GG. You know what I'm saying? Because that's just how I am.
I get out. So many people message me GG, and I'll message them like, sorry, dude, that wasn't a GG. Like, that was a bad game. Like, the game was just shit. And then they're like, oh my God, man, no need to be salty and stuff like this. And half the time I win the game, and I'm like, this wasn't a good game. Like, but yeah, no, I understand like what you mean with bad game. Like, I do, and I do see it at times on people's streams and stuff, but it's so hard to visualize it when you're not actually playing the game. And this is, again, one of the biggest problems of you trying to get your point across. And I say it for you and mainly the other pros and top 100 specifically, is because you feel it so much more intensely than anyone else because of how good you are at the game.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So your average player, although they feel it, they don't understand what they're feeling and why. So they immediately assume the game is out to get them.
Or they feel that that's just like the normal. That's the norm, like every single day. Like the game feels like that every single day. That's exactly what it's going to be like every day. That's what bothers me even more too. Exactly. Yeah.
And the only people that can fix this is EA, and they don't care. They don't care because we're not a big enough part of their source of income to care. As people wouldn't believe that, but as Sherps have said to me, like them fixing this isn't going to generate them more revenue. Like them acknowledging this could potentially lose them revenue, but then fixing this won't generate more revenue because this is the premier sports game, the premier FIFA title. Like there's no competitive here. There's no, like, PES is garbage compared to this. PES doesn't have an ultimate team. It's never going to compete. So FIFA is all anyone's got, right? So you know, you're here and you're going to have to play this game. So for them to acknowledge a problem is only going to cause them financial deficit, which they don't want to do. In terms of like competitiveness, though, I can't take FIFA seriously as a competitive game mode, even in the best of gameplay, because you don't know everything. Like in League of Legends, you know every damn thing. If they change the way a character throws its like or shoots his weapon by a percent of a percent, they will tell you that they've changed that, so that you know and you have that information to hand. With FIFA, they're like, yo, we got some chemistry shit, guys. Here's what it changes. but we're not going to tell you about goalkeepers and how their chemistry works and how it affects them. Well, how the hell can you expect me to play
We don't
fairly
know
against
all the
someone when I don't know anything?
game details. Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yeah, like how can you have a competitive game mode when the people that are playing competitively don't even know what they're doing in the game? They literally have to play the game based off of how they feel the game works, not how they know the game works.
Right.
And I don't think that's good enough.
Yeah, especially if they want to grow it in the competitive scene where it's just like I don't know, Nep, even like you said, even if the game feels really good, there's too many random aspects of the game that like we don't know about that hinders your performance in a certain way, right? Like it's like this, Nep. Like you can perform the same exact way one day and the exact same way the other day, and you could beat this person 3-0 the other day, one day, and they can beat you 4-0 the other day. Do you know what I'm saying? It won't be like, okay, so like you're both the same skill level, but because of moments that happen in the game, because there's so many specific moments that happen, right? Because of so many specific moments that happen in the game, it's not skill based to the point where it's like, oh shit, I managed to beat this guy 2-1 or 1-0, and then the next day the game was like 3-2. Because there's so many moments, Nep, that's like, I don't know, even when it's good, it's like you didn't expect it all. Like for instance, the guy ended up going on a counterattack because my fullback was nowhere to be found when I never pushed him out at any point, even when I was attacking. Like he's set to stay back while attacking. Even with his medium-high work rates, he's not even in position. He ends up exploiting that space because he just so happens to not be there, where sometimes he is and sometimes he isn't. And he exploits that space. I only have 3 defenders left. I have a center back that pushes up to left back. I now have only 1 center back, so he can exploit the middle even more. Like, those kind of specifics, Nep. Like, that stuff will hinder the performance of this game in terms of it being a competitive game because of that kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, if my fullback is set to stay back while attacking and he's medium high, and I never LBA with him, or L1A, L1X if you guys are on PlayStation, if you never make a pass like that and he pushes out of position, right? Randomly, where you don't even expect it, like you're all the way far down on the right side, but your left back all of a sudden wants to, like, he just feels the need to want to push out, then it's like, we don't know that he's going to push out, right? That's a random aspect, because once I lose this ball, I'm going to be like, where the hell's my left back? I never did anything with him. Even if they can have low high work rates, Nep, and they'll still push out of their position. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's too many specifics, Nep. Oh, I managed to make this really random pass. Oh, look, there's an opening in the middle now. I'm going to exploit that middle. The guy can see that you want to exploit that middle, but at that point, the guy literally can't do anything. It's not because he pushed out a center back. It's because a random aspect that happened in the game made it so that the middle of the pitch is now open. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I just want to address one guy in the comments said, like, I say that I always like to see that there was something I could have done, and now I was here blaming gameplay. I don't. It's not that I blame gameplay. I don't blame gameplay. I understand why people can experience this difference in gameplays, but I am still of the opinion, and I think this is one of the only things that myself and Inception disagree on, and this is probably what makes him a better player than me in some degree. The only thing I think that is, even if there is bad gameplay, there are still measures that you can take to turn the game in your favor. Regardless of good gameplay or bad gameplay, there are things that you can do still to make sure that you win that game if you are the better player. And that's my opinion. That's simply my opinion on the subject.
Yeah, that's your opinion. Yeah. Yeah, in that aspect, me and Nep are a little bit iffy on. That's it. But like not controversial. Like, I fucking hate you, Nep. You know what I mean? Like not like that. I just don't agree. I just don't agree with, like, yes, you can adapt. Like, dude, if I couldn't adapt to this game, my record would be garbage, right? Like you said, Nep, like, you can adapt to winning the game. But it's not a game that you have control over because you know you should have control over. Like, yeah, it's like I said, Nep, if you experience what the game is supposed to feel like, when you don't feel that gameplay anymore and your players are like, the term that I always use is restricting yourself, or they feel like they're in mud, they can't turn, they turn in directions that you don't expect, they start sliding on the defense, like you're going right but they keep going to the left. I personally do not accept playing in gameplay like that and then calling it skill based to the point where, like, the person has control over the outcome of that game, because then I think it's completely random. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, for me personally, I think that it's random. And it's like, can I do better to win that game? Of course, I play this game all the time during the daytime during FUT Champs. I still manage to win 36 of the games, but a lot of those games, I always say that game was not proper. You know what I call it, Nep? I call it managing. I don't call it skill based. I don't call it being able to perform better in bad gameplay, I call it managing. I managed to get the win. I didn't win the game. I managed to get the win. Do you know what I'm saying?
I know, I see it exactly, and that for me is again where the whole like for me personally, like when I'm in a game where like I'm struggling to score for whatever reason, even though I'm dominating the game, I know at that point it's on me to manage to, like what you said, like to manage to win that game. I know I've got to find something in the game to benefit me to put the ball in the back of the net.
Yeah.
Because otherwise this guy's going to steal a win against me. And then it comes down to the fact, can you manage to find that thing or not? Because otherwise you're going to get screwed over by like a goal that he doesn't deserve, or a counter attack that he scores, or maybe on penalties or something like that. So to remove that aspect, that's where I've been trying to focus a lot over the last 3 or 4 weeks specifically, is looking at my own gameplay, saying, okay, even if this was input delay, even if this was him park the bus, even if this was him 5 the back, what could I have done and where could I have done it different to see myself come out on the other side as the winner?
Yeah.
And that again, I think even though we disagree on the ins and outs of that specificness, I still think as a whole, we both agree that doesn't constitute to any kind of scripting or any kind of momentum or anything like that. It is literally just, sometimes you're just unlucky. You're just unlucky. You deserve the win and you're unlucky.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't. That's the one thing we're gonna 100% agree on is that the momentum, like oh my god, Neff, the 45th minute and 90th minute bullshit people talk about, dude. Oh my god, dude. Like you're gonna concede that same type of goal in the 30th minute, the 47th minute. Like you're gonna concede it no matter what. Like if it's a shit goal, you concede shit goals anyways. Like
yeah, exactly. Over my 40 games of Foot Champs last weekend, I documented every minute I scored and conceded goals in. I scored, I think, 9 goals in the 45th minute, 6 goals in the 90th minute, and 6 goals in the 23rd minute. So we're now saying that also the 23rd minute is a glitched minute. Should I just start hitting long shots in the 23rd minute because I scored the same amount in there as I did in the 90th? It doesn't mean anything, man. It doesn't mean anything at all.
Oh, and that's another thing too, Neb. So the whole momentum shift, momentum pisses me off so much. If my gameplay is good, Neb, there is no change in speed. The speed, the way that the game feels the same no matter what, right?
Yeah.
It feels the same. Nothing has changed. When the gameplay is good, nothing has changed. It's good for the entire game. I can be winning 3-1, or if the guy scores a 3-2, I don't feel, like if it's good, Neb, I don't feel, holy shit, I can't do anything with my team right now. My team feels awful. No, because the gameplay is good. But when it's bad, people get that assumption that's like, okay, my players feel like shit right now. Your players were shit the entire game.
Yeah.
Right? They weren't just shit because he scored. They were shit again, the entire game.
The funniest thing for me is, again, is something, is like people were like, man, I was 3-0 up and then he scored 1 goal and then I didn't change anything, but all of a sudden I can't do anything. And I sit there and think, did you not consider for 1 second that he may have changed something? He may have gone attacking or high pressure. So, okay, now all of a sudden your players can't touch the ball. That's probably because he did something to change that. He scored a goal. He wants to get back in the game. The later the game goes on, the more attacking people get. Dude, sometimes when people play like ultra attacking against me, I can't touch the ball because they've got so many bodies up in my front that all I can do is punt it down the field and try and hope that I get a rebound or a knock on somewhere.
Exactly.
Like that's not, yeah, sure, I didn't change. I didn't change a damn thing. But why is he getting back into this game then? Because he changed something.
Yeah.
He wants to score more goals. Yeah.
Yeah. I get what you're saying.
Anyway, I've got to eat right now, dudes. But it's been nice talking to you about this. Maybe we'll grab another chat again in a week or so about some same things.
Oh yeah, it's been a pleasure, Neb.
Yeah. See you later, stream. Get better at FIFA. You'll suck.
Later, Neb. Yep.